Ramo, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Ramo Ramo. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Hadiva Hadiva Haribo. Om Vishnupad Paramangsa Parivrajagacharya Tattva Satya Shishma Divine Grace Chaitanya Goswami Abhayachandra Vinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Om Vishnupad Paramangsa Parivrajagacharya Tattva. This morning we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 7 Chapter 6. Prahlad instructs his demoniac schoolmates. Text number 5. So you may kindly repeat this verse after me, line by line. Tato yateta kushalaha Chemaya bhavam ashritaha Shariram parusham yavan No vipadyeta pushkalam. Tato. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Therefore, while in material existence, bhavam ashritaha, a person fully competent to distinguish wrong from right must endeavor to achieve the highest goal of life as long as the body is stout and strong and not embarrassed by dwindling. Purport. As stated by Prahlad Maharaj at the beginning of this chapter, Kamaram Acharit Pragya. The word Pragya refers to one who is experienced and who can distinguish right from wrong. Such a person should not waste his energy and valuable human lifetime simply working like a cat or dog to develop his economic condition. For one word in this verse, there are two readings, bhavam ashrita and bhavam ashrita. But accepting the meaning of either of them will bring one to the same conclusion. Bhayam ashrita. Bhayam ashrita indicates that the materialistic way of life is always fearful because at every step there is danger. Materialistic life is full of anxieties and fear, bhayam. Similarly, accepting the reading bhavam ashrita, the word bhavam refers to unnecessary trouble and problems. For want of Krishna consciousness, one is put into bhavam, being perpetually embarrassed by birth, death, old age, and disease. Thus, one is surely full of anxieties. Human society should be divided into a social system of Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras. But everyone can engage in devotional service. If one wants to live without devotional service, his status as a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Shudra certainly has no meaning. It is said, Stanad Prashtra Patanti Adha. Whether one is in a higher or lower division, one certainly falls down for want of Krishna consciousness. A sane man, therefore, is always fearful of falling from his position. This is a regulative principle. One should not fall from his exalted position. The highest goal of life can be achieved as long as one's body is stout and strong. We should therefore live in such a way that we keep ourselves always healthy and strong in mind and intelligence, so that we can distinguish the goal of life from a life full of problems. A thoughtful man must act in this way, learning to distinguish right from wrong and thus attain the goal of life.
patantlátka. Někomu chybí vědomí Krišny zaručeně poklesne, má nižší či vyšší postavení. Zdravě uvažující osoba má proto strach z poklesu. Toto je zásada, nikdo by neměl ze svého vznešeného postavení poklesnout. Nejvyššího životního cíle lze dosáhnout, pokud bylo zdatné a silné, který žít takovým způsobem, bychom si stále udržovali dobré zdraví a jasnou mysl a inteligenci, což nám pomůže poznat, co je životní cíl a co je životní problém. Uvážlivý člověk musí jednak tímto způsobem učit se rozlišovat dobré od špatného a dosáhnout tak cíle života.
Once more, we'll read the verse. Tato yateta kushala kshemaya bhavam ashritaha shariram parusham yavam na vipadyeta pushkalam. Therefore, while in material existence, bhavam ashrita. A person fully competent to distinguish wrong from right must endeavor to achieve the highest goal of life as long as the body is stout and strong and is not embarrassed by dwindling.
Kdo je plně schopen rozlišit, co je špatné a co dobré, se proto musí proti svého hmotného života bhavam ashrita snažit dosáhnout nejvyššího životního cíle, dokud je tělo zdatné a silné a nezačalo chřadnout.
Ukam karoti bhachalam mangamangayate grim kripidramandai Shri Gurundinatanam. Similarly, in the 5th chapter of the Gita, Lord Krishna says that we have the time of the duration of this body, prak sharira vimokshana, before we give this body up, to overcome kama, krodha, bhava, vinam. Lust, kam, and krodha, the opposite, which means anger or frustration. That's the basic duality of conditioned life.
V páté kapitole Krishna říká, že máme délku tohoto života k tomu, abychom překonali kámu nebo chtíč a krodhu, hněv nebo frustraci, což je základní dualita tohoto podmíněného života.
So this is the human mission, to become purified of these two very inauspicious states of material consciousness. They're extremes. Lust on the one side and anger on the other side. Both are very dangerous, very potentially destructive.
To je poslání lidského života, zbavit se těchto dvou extrémů. Chtíče na jedné straně a hněvu na druhé. Oba jsou velice nebezpečné a destruktivní.
So in the seminar on psychology, I've been telling you about how the root desires are embedded in what Srila Prabhupada called the subconscious. And the subconscious is actually the first covering of the soul by ignorance. And this is actually taking place in the initial stage of the creation, when the living entities are within the body of Mahavishnu, in susupti, unconsciousness.
Podvědomí je první obal nevědomosti, který vzniká pro živou bytost ještě v první fázi stvoření, kdy jsou bytosti v těle Mahavishnu a ve stavu susupti.
So, under that covering, the soul's pure consciousness and pure desires are smothered, and thus they become perverted.
Pod tímto obalem jsou čisté touhy a čisté vědomí duše, prostě jako zmáčknutí a tím se stanou zvráceny.
So as long as this covering is there, then those desires will be there, those kama bija, those seeds of desire. And as long as those seeds of desire are there, then they're going to want to grow. And the nourishing atmosphere for their growth is the agitated mind. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto, there is a term, guna pravaha, which refers to the mind agitated by the three modes of material nature.
5. směru Bhagava tomu je z guna pravaha, což myslím, že je mysl rozrušenou pravdami přírody.
You see, so that's the atmosphere around this primeval covering storehouse of material desires. In that atmosphere, the seeds can nicely grow and be contemplated. These desires, fledgling desires, seedling desires, can be contemplated in the agitated mind and thus nourished further.
Takže to je prostředí, ve kterém jsou v tom základním prvotní sklad těch tužeb a ty tam mohou pěkně ničit a růst, když se rozjímá.
And so by this thinking and feeling, then finally willing, then the desires come to the gross body stage, the stage of the shtula sharira, the gross body, gross senses, and they're enacted.
Myšlení a cítění se vyvíjí chtění a vzniká stvůla šarira, nebo hmotné tělo a ty touhy se vyžívají.
So for overcoming these desires, again, Kama and Krodha are, we could say, symbolic of all of them. They're the extremes, and thus they encompass all sorts of desires. So to overcome them, we have to work on consciousness, on the mind, on pacifying the mind, getting the mind clear of the influence of the three modes of material nature.
Abychom tyto překonali a vlastně se dají obsáhnout do těch dvou extrémů Kama a Krodha, které zamují, tak musíme pracovat na tom, abychom uklidnili mysl a vlivu kolem přírody.
And Vedic civilization, we can say, gives a kind of a two-pronged, you see, two-pronged approach to this. As much as the Vedic knowledge itself is divided into two categories. There is Paravidya and Aparavidya. So, or to use other language, like I was mentioning in the seminar, there is Paramartha and Vyavahar. This is another two words meaning the same. So Paravidya, of course, is the transcendental science of self and God realization. Para means transcendental. And we, in our essential and original identity, are, what does Sri Krishna say? We are para prakriti. Our nature is that we belong to that transcendental realm. So, of course, then, the application of transcendental knowledge and transcendental practice is of paramount importance for the liberation of the soul from material desire. Then there's the Aparavidya, which is the Vedic knowledge that refers to our situation here in the material world. And that basically means varnasrama dharma. So here Srila Prabhupada writes, human society should be divided into a social system of brahmanas, kshatriyas, vaishyas and shudras, but everyone can engage in devotional service. And then he goes on to say, if one wants to live without devotional service, his status as a brahmana, kshatriya, vaishya or shudra certainly has no meaning. So it's clear from this that the two are meant to work in harmony. It is a misconception, and sometimes we hear this misconception being repeated even among devotees, but it is a misconception to think that Varna Ashram Dharma is some sort of alternative to Krishna consciousness, either in a positive or negative sense. Well, if I can't be Krishna conscious, then I can be in Varnashram. Or we're devotees, we have nothing to do with Varnashram. Either way is a misconception.
Slyšíme často i mezi orami takové milné pojetí, že varnasrama dharma je jakousi alternativou k výrobě Krišny, buď v pozitivním smyslu, že může být buď to si výrobí Krišny, nebo může být ve varnasrama dharmě, anebo i v negativním smyslu, že ve skutečnosti jsme oddaní a varnasrama pro nás nemá žádný smysl.
Because as Prahlad Maharaj says, Shariram Parusham Yavam, as long as you have this body, we have to engage it. And it is best engaged according to its inherent modes of nature. I remember in 1972 September, I was fortunate enough to be present in New Vrindavan when Srila Prabhupada gave the Bhagavad Dharma discourses. And the way he explained Bhagavad Dharma, it was just in this very sense, that on the one side, Bhagavad, this is the path back home, back to Godhead, this is devotional service, Bhagavata Vidhi, process of hearing and chanting and serving Krishna. And then Dharma actually refers to Varna Ashram Dharma. So Srila Prabhupada's presentation was, in his presentation he was very carefully presenting them as one unit, Varna Ashram and devotional service. And he was speaking about how Varna Ashram Dharma is natural. It's a natural social arrangement. And he gave a very nice example. He said that the Brahmanas, for their duty in society, they become expert. He mentioned two things: Jyotish, astrology, and Ayurveda, Vedic medicine. So the Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras, they're not so spiritually developed. So in a sort of fearful way, you might say, they're very interested in knowing about their health, how to preserve their health, and knowing about what the future will bring. This is, conditioning. This is, and we see it everywhere. People are conditioned in that way. So the Brahmanas are there to give this sort of information, but moreover, they give Atma Tattva, they give Bhagavat Tattva along with it. But the interest in going to a Brahmin is first of all sparked by the fact that they can give us Ayurvedic treatment, and they can give us our astrology chart and tell us what's going to happen in the future. So you see how this system nicely dovetails the conditioned interests of the living entities in the path of spiritual progress.
těch nižších bytostí v rámci jejich duchovního pokroku.
So the whole purpose of the arrangement is to advance Krishna consciousness in human society.
Účelem toho systému je, aby se podporovalo vědomí Krišny ve společnosti.
And that's very clear that that's all it is meant for.
To je velice jasné, že jedině k tomu je to určeno.
Dharma Shvanushtita Pungsang. Srila Prabhupada was quoting this in Bhagavad Dharma lectures. Vishvakshena Katasuyat Notpadye Didiratyam Shramaheva Kevalam. That unless there is the cultivation of attraction to hearing about Krishna, then this Varna Ashram social arrangement is Shramaheva Kevalam. It's a waste of time. It will not work.
Prabhupada citoval na těch přednáškách od Bhagavata hlavně tento verš, který říká, že pokud se všemi činnostmi ve Varnašramě nepodporuje zájem o naslouchání o Krišnovi, tak je to všechno ztráta času a nebude to fungovat.
And as we see in India today, of course, Varna Ashram is, well, practically it doesn't exist, but there's some burnt remnant there, known as the caste system.
To můžeme vidět dnes v Indii, kde už Varnašrama neexistuje, ale jsou tam takové zbytky toho kastovního systému.
And that is also, even though that is not actual Varnashram, it's some shadow of it, but even that is very rapidly disappearing.
To není ve skutečnosti Varnašrama, ale nějaký takový podlesk, ale i to velice rychle mizí.
And that is due to lack of Krishna consciousness.
Je to kvůli nedostatku vědomí Krišny.
It's due, I think I was mentioning before in another class that because I'm spending more time in India, I see that Indian people, mostly they are in the grip of very severe misconceptions about Krishna.
Když jsem se o tom zmínil, protože trávím hodně času teď v Indii, tak vidíme hodně Hindů, má velice silná pojetí o Krišnu.
The average Hindu thinks Krishna was a historical personality. He may have been very great and a teacher of spiritual knowledge, but ultimately he was a human being like you and me. An incarnation of Brahman or whatever, but Krishna as we see him, blackish Krishna smiling, that is material form. That's what most Hindus think. And because of the spread of this great offense, actually, it is an offense to think of the Lord that way. Because of this, so therefore the life of whatever is left of the Vedic social system, the life is rapidly running out. And what is coming in is, of course, the Western barbaric culture. And it is horrible to see. In the big cities, especially Mumbai and Delhi, you look at the young people, they're actually worse than the Western young people. Because they're, at least young people are jaded, you know. Jaded means they're frustrated, and even their sense gratification is not very exciting for them. They just do it because there's nothing else to do. But the Indian young people, they have this sense of themselves as being in a repressive culture, held back from doing all the things that other people can do. So they're really eager to catch up. So they throw themselves into sense gratification with great enthusiasm. So India, the whole world is in a very precarious situation.
celý svět je velice prekérní situace.
And we can see all the ill effects of these sinful activities, worldwide sinful activities. They're bearing fruit now.
Můžeme vidět všechny ty hříšné činnosti po celém světě, jak teď dávají svoje plody, žádoucí účinky.
Whereas 10 years ago, I was hearing much about the optimism of, this new post-communist world.
Před 10 lety jsem slyšel hodně optimismu tady o tom novém postkomunistickém světě.
There were even some scholars in America, they were proposing what they called the end of history.
Kteří učenci v Americe dokonce bojují o konci historie.
Very, very bizarre theory that now history as we know it, where human culture will be going through different ages and there will be different struggles and like this, that's all come to an end. Now we have actually achieved that ideal state. Communism is finished and the only thing left is American capitalism and everyone will be happy and just go on and on and on. Economic development and sense gratification without end.
Tady ta historie, jak ji známe v průběhu věků, se nyní bojí, že to už skončilo s koncem komunistického režimu a teď už všude jenom zavládne americký kapitalismus a všichni budou šťastní a budeme pokračovat v ekonomický rozvoj a všichni jsou požítek bez konce.
Which is very ironic because it was the communists who used to talk about the final revolution and then there will just be pure communism forever. And Adolf Hitler, he had his 1,000-year Reich, 1,000 years of just heaven on earth for the Germans, not for anyone else, I guess. So about 10 years ago, American intellectuals were propagating their own version of such ideas. But that all ended September 11th, 2001. Now we don't hear about the end of history anymore. History goes on. Yes, this is the historical world, a world of birth, death, disease, old age. And so the Vedic scriptures give this solution. The Bhagavad Dharma, the cultivation of Krishna consciousness, Paravidya, transcendental knowledge, and on the other side, appropriate occupational engagement for our bodies in the varnas and ashrams. As a whole, the varnashram system is in the mode of goodness. So, when one assumes one's rightful position, he's actually cultivating the mode of goodness. And that mode of goodness is conducive for the cultivation of Krishna consciousness. So this is the actual purpose of Varna Ashram Dharma. And if it is used for some other reason, just as a mere way of organizing people in their materialistic affairs with no thought to spiritual life, then it will not work right, it will deteriorate. So we can see that in Varnashram Dharma culture, there is an absolute necessity. There we can say that the propagation of Krishna consciousness is, as Prabhupada said in this Bhagavad Dharma discourse, he says, that is the life of Dharma. That's the life force of Varnashram Dharma is the propagation, the preaching of Krishna consciousness.
Můžeme vidět, že ve Varnashrama dharmě je nezbytné šíření vědomí Krišny a Prabhupáda to mluvil v těch přednáškách z Bhagavatam, že to je velice podstatná věc.
So in Varnashram Dharma, everyone is trained to be submissive to spiritual authority, to be eager to hear spiritual subject matter. So this is an ideal platform for preaching. And this is exactly how Srila Prahlad Maharaj is presenting the Varnashram, the Vedic culture. Therefore, while in material existence, a person fully competent to distinguish wrong from right. You see, this is how persons are trained in Varnashram. They learn proper discrimination, moral discrimination, and spiritual discrimination. So they have good intelligence. And then he goes on to say, such persons, they must endeavor to achieve the highest goal of life. As long as this body is strong and stout and not embarrassed by dwindling. In other words, this is the actual goal of the whole system. This is the goal of the training in Varnashram. So that in this life one can achieve perfection. Go back home, back to Godhead. So I'll stop here. Would there be any questions? Yes?
Není vědomí Krišny, tak v rámci Varnashrama není poklesne, ale zároveň pochopení, že Varnashrama bylo postaveno, aby každý mohl dělat pokrok. There is mention in the proverb that whoever is without consciousness in Varnashrama will fall down. Prabhupada says his understanding was that the Varnashrama dharma is arranged in such a way that everybody makes progress gradually.
No, not without Krishna consciousness. You see, this Daivi Varnashram Dharma, Daivi means godly or God-centered. So this was the Varnashram Dharma that Srila Prabhupada used to speak about, and this is what is taught by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. So what's the opposite of Daiva? Asura. And this word Asura, let's look at it. Let's analyze it as Madhvacharya has analyzed it. It's very interesting. Like in Gita we see this Gatasum, Magatasum. So Asun means this life in this body. And Ra is short for Ramate, or to enjoy. So an Asura is one who is dedicated to enjoying this body. So if Krishna consciousness is not there, that's all you've got. You've just got someone who's dedicated to enjoying this physical body. And that is destructive. That is destructive of the interests of the living entity.
ničí vzájemný živé bytosti.
That attitude invites, is just, it's just saying to Maya, take me. You're just saying to the personality of sin, take me.
Takovým postojem říkáte Maji nebo zosobněnému hříchu, on si mě vezme, ten mě máš.
So, as Srila Prabhupada says, even this Western culture, so degraded as it is, the basic pattern, the basic structure of the varnashram social body is there.
Prabhupada říkal, že dokonce i v této degradované západní kultuře je základní struktura varnashrama.
The intellectuals are acting as the head.
Intelektuálové jako hlava.
Those who have the nature to be administrators, managers, they're directing the society.
Manažerskou povahu řídí společnost.
And then those who work the land and who are business-minded, so they're generating the economy for the whole system.
Kdo mají obdělávají půdu a mají ekonomického ducha, tak se starají o ekonomiku celého systému.
And those who are left are workers and servants.
Bývají potom pracovníci, služebníci.
So what's the difference between that and the pure varnashram system?
Jaký je rozdíl mezi tím a čistým varnashramským systémem?
One obvious difference is lack of Krishna consciousness.
Jasný rozdíl je nedostatek Krishna.
And therefore this is asuric. This social system that you see here, which still has, this basic structure to it, is sinful. It's just dedicated to sinfulness, sense gratification.
Tento společenský systém tady je asurský a je příští, nevědělný smyslem Boží.
And who makes progress by being in such a system? You see? Now, in India, what happened historically is that the Vedic varnashram system of previous ages, when Kali Yuga arrived, then it deteriorated due to especially the degradation of the royal order.
Stalo historicky, že ten védský varnashramský systém dřívějších jug z příchodu Kali se zhoršil zvláště úpadkem královské třídy.
And this is predicted at the end of the Srimad Bhagavatam, with the Bhagavatam was looking ahead into Kali Yuga and informing about the degraded kings that would come. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains that both Buddhism and Jainism, which is a very small religion but very much like Buddhism, both of them came about as a result of this degradation of the royal order. Buddha was born in a Kshatriya family, and Mahavir, who is the founder of the Jain religion, was similarly born as a Kshatriya. So they preached this Upadharma, provisional religion, to check this advance of sinfulness. The kings were sponsoring these great bloody sacrifices, so they put a stop to that. So then what followed after, as you well know, after some time of Buddhism, then Shankaracharya came and he preached what was apparently the Vedic Dharma again. And again something resembling Varnashram Dharma became prominent in India. But the background of it was this Mayavadi philosophy.
Zatím byla majovatská filozofie.
And this is where this caste system became very strong.
Proto začal být ten kastovní systém.
You see, we all know this term Smarta Brahmin.
Známe ten výraz Smarta Brahma.
Now, Smarta Brahmin in India, that simply means in the you talk to Indians and you ask them, what is your conception of Smarta Brahmin? And they will tell you, it's the Brahmins who follow Shankaracharya. So, in other words, the Mayavadi Grihastha Brahmanas, they are these Smarta caste conscious Brahmins. And their view of varnashram is totally materialistic. And it has to be because of the philosophy. The Mayavadi philosophy is supposed to be a philosophy of oneness, but it is a philosophy of extreme dualism. Because in Mayavadi philosophy, spirituality is in impersonal Brahman. And we're here in the world of Maya. And the Mayavadi stress that there is no connection between Maya and Brahman. It's not that Maya is an energy of the impersonal Brahman. That's not Mayavadi philosophy. In fact, this is where Mayavadi philosophy becomes totally incomprehensible. The relationship between Brahman and Maya. This is one of the points they have this special term, anirvichaniya, which means don't talk about it. Just don't bring it up. Because it cannot be explained in words. Anirvichaniya means not expressible in words. But it's definitely wrong, according to them, to say that Maya is an energy of impersonal Brahman. If it was, then there would be a connection. Then we could consider there must be some way when you're in Maya to, naturally get to the Brahman platform. But no, according to the Mayavadis, it's just that Maya has to stop completely. And they give their own examples. They admit that even their spiritual practice, becoming a sannyasi in the Mayavadi order, that's all Maya. They admit that. Reading Vedanta, that's also Maya. Vedas, that's all Maya. So Varnashram Dharma is certainly just Maya. Nothing to do with Brahman. But they say, it's just like Maya is like a dream. So there are some dreams, like if you're dreaming at night of a tiger jumping on you, then that will make you wake up. So there are some dreams that will make you wake up. Hopefully. So they have such explanations. But Varnashram Dharma is in Maya. So this is the way the smarter Brahmins look at it. It's just material and has no connection with anything higher. So therefore the caste, this caste system is there, this rigid stratification according to birth. So this is how the caste system has become so prominent in India because of Mayavadi philosophy.
kvôli majovackej filozofii, že sa tak rozšíril kastovný systém.
And such a system with a background of impersonalism is not going to help anyone make progress.
Takový systém, ktorý má pozadí impersonalizmu, nikomu nepomôže udelať pokoj.
It's just a feature of Kali Yuga. So really the only real varnasrama system that can actually help the living entity progress is that which is married to Krishna consciousness, Daivi varnasrama.
Jediný skutečný varnasramský systém, ktorý pomôže ľuďom dělat pokrok, je ten, ktorý je spojený s vědomím Krishny, to znamená Daivi varnasrama.
Yes?
What is the result of the combination of Krishna consciousness and American culture? In the sense that we may, for people may be difficult to accept varnasrama, so if they can change like Hare Krishna fast or Hare Krishna movie or Hare Krishna sports practically and the lifestyle, why is the problem that this can prove what doesn't work?
Je výsledek spojení vědomí Krišny s americkou kulturou, prostě varnasrama. Kteří mají problém třeba varnasrama tady a z toho začíná jako Krišna vědomé ufety a sporty a videa a jaký to má teda výsledek.
Yeah. Years ago, when I was doing research into one of the books that I wrote, I bought a book by a American professor named Cornel West. And it was a book about the American philosophy. And his point that he was arguing in this book is that American philosophy is the lack of philosophy. And he was giving really great arguments, from history and all the great men who were behind, the conception of America. So he was quoting them and showing that all of them, in their intellectual life, they avoided all the issues of, known to be philosophical issues. They just escaped from that. So the American ethic, so to speak, it's expressed right in the beginning of the Constitution, that all men are created equal and life is meant for pursuing happiness, which means sense gratification. And philosophy, comes about as a result of doubt about our position in the world. The philosopher wonders, why are we here? And he's not satisfied with that. That's considered common, mundane to say, we're just here to enjoy. That, a self-respecting philosopher will never be satisfied with such an answer. And another thing, religiously speaking, the religion behind the formation of America and all its ideals is technically called deism. The founders of America, like Jefferson and Franklin, they were deists. So let me just explain, because there's theism, there's deism, and there's atheism. So the perfect example of theism is Vaishnavism, actually. Because you look up theism in a good dictionary or encyclopedia, like Cambridge Encyclopedia of Philosophy or something like that, and it will explain that theism really means the concept of a religion in which there's a concept of God who is both transcendental and immanent. In other words, he's both above everything and yet at the same time pervading everything.
Dobrém slovníku třeba v kembrické encyklopedii najdete, že teismus znamená koncept Boha, který je transcendentní i imanentní. To znamená, že v světě a zároveň všude tady.
This is theism, and Krishna consciousness, the Vaishnava philosophy, presents theism in its perfect, most developed form. Pantheism, everyone's heard that word, just means a belief in a God who is immanent. All pervading. And the opposite of pantheism is deism. God is up there somewhere, but not here. And of course, atheism means they don't believe in God at all. So the deistic idea is that God, He assembled the world like a clock, wound it up, and put it there, and now He has nothing more to do with it. And it's up to man to make whatever he wants to out of this world. So therefore in such a idea, both the non-philosophy and the non-theism, the idea of freedom, personal freedom is paramount, most important. We're here to enjoy. We're free to enjoy. God has given us this world to enjoy. We make out of it what we want. So, this, if you know the Krishna conscious philosophy, then I don't have to explain the danger that's in this outlook. Srila Prabhupada again and again stressed that there are laws of nature, and human being is in no position to manipulate these laws. We are subject to these laws. Prabhupada compared the material nature to a printing press once. He said there are some printing presses actually that work like this. You put all the ingredients, the paper pulp and everything in one end, the ink, and you press a button and everything just automatically runs along a long assembly line, and then at the end books come out. And the machine will always work that way. You cannot, say to the machine, well, instead of books coming out the other end, why don't we have, a nice Mercedes car or something? I'd like to have a new car. You can't reason with a machine like that. So material nature, Prabhupada used to even say Prakriti in one sense means machine. So if we come into this machinery of material nature with this attitude that I can do what I like, I'm free, God gave me this world, I'm here to enjoy, then we're going to get into great trouble. And varnasrama dharma is certainly not supportive of such ideas. Not at all. Huh? So, in answer to your question, I don't see much scope for marrying Krishna consciousness to such kind of ideology.
Odpověď na druhou otázku, já nevidím moc prostor pro to, aby se mohlo pojít vědomí Krišny s takovouhle ideologií.
Actually, this has already happened in history.
To už se vlastně stalo v historii.
This is what's behind the Sahaja movement.
To stojí za sáhačovskou.
The Sahajas, they think that by being devotees, because they're devotees, they can do what they like.
Sáhačové si myslí, že jako jsou vodem, že můžou dělat, co chtějí.
That I chant Hare Krishna or whatever my devotional service is, whenever I do it. And because of that, I have carte blanche. I can, just act in any way I want. And I'm a devotee.
Hare Krishna, udělám nějakou službu a tomu prostě můžu dělat cokoliv, co jsem podaný.
So Srila Prabhupada says they go to hell. Clearly states that. They go to hell. All right, so it's now time to stop. Thank you very much, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Suhotra Swami ki.